You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win! They score! Verhage was also jamming away. It's a power play goal for the IceDogs. And they score! Hosang, first goal as an IceDog. Strom stops Shipley. Richie scores! Gets it to Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Welcome into another monthly recap episode right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in their three great Niagara region locations, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you those that are tuned in on our video version. Make sure to, you know what to do. Hit like, hit subscribe, and smash that bell, and also comment. Comment helps us a lot if you want to get your thoughts in. We always love to hear from our fan base and the Ice Dog fans out there about what you guys are thinking about what we're talking about on the episodes as well. So make sure to leave us a comment, and we respond to every single comment on our network here. So thank you to our loyal audio listeners as well, and your favorite on-demand audio platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all these other ones that I've never used before. But if you guys use God bless you. But we're on about 9 different audio platforms, and other than Apple and Spotify, Christian, I don't know if you've used any other ones. But
me, I'm a YouTube music guy all the way, and I'm gonna get some severe hate in the comment section for this, but I pay for YouTube Premium. I know what a loser I am, but I don't have to listen to ads, and it also comes with a great service in YouTube Music, so I get all my podcasts there. And the Armchair GM Sports Network podcasts are on YouTube Music. It's because it is a YouTube podcast. So maybe consider it, man. I love it. They have, like TikTok, like shorts, or like Spotify, I think has it too, where you can scroll through like almost like your brain rot, like doom scrolling, and songs come up. So it's like TikTok, but for music. And you just keep scrolling through, and you find songs that you like, and you can add them to your library, or you can, move to the next. And that's me. I'm a YouTube music kind of guy.
Well, when you get that royalty check in the mail from YouTube for that ad you just gave them, let me know. And
yeah, right.
But anyway,
YouTube sponsor us, please.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So
one day.
Yeah. So again, we're here to discuss the month of November for the Niagara IceDogs, and I know what the fans are thinking out there. Obviously, it was a month where they didn't win a single game. But we're not here to really hone in on the negatives. We're going to talk objectively about the team, sort of go over what we saw in the last month, go over some statistics. We've also got head coach Krys Barch with his honest thoughts after the game on Sunday afternoon. So we're going to hear his thoughts on how the team goes forward here and going into December, and what they are sort of working through with the process, and sort of how they really get things turned around here, because it's not what you do in November, it's what you do in February and March. But again, this is definitely not another month that they want to go through as a unit. We're also going to debut our new segment today in the second part of today's show. We're going to have our Scouting with Simmons update, which Christian's going to go over 4 prospects for the Niagara IceDogs that are currently with other organizations, hoping to be Niagara IceDogs in the near future, and to give us a quick update on how some of the young IceDog prospects are doing as well. And we're also going to have a ticket giveaway, as we always do on our monthly episode. So stay tuned for that code word. Could come at any time during the episode. Could come now, could come 30 minutes from now, could come in the last minute of the episode. You never know. But regardless of that, thank you to our loyal listeners as well. And again, the Dog Pound Podcast is proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods and its 3 great Niagara region locations: St. Catharines on Scott Street, Fawn Hill, and Niagara Falls. So thank you to John and Neil for their continued support of this show. And we haven't been able to give away any free dog treats this month because that only happens after an Ice Dogs home win. So hopefully in December we'll have some foot traffic into the Global Pet Food stores.
Yeah, I think we should probably send some of the Ice Dogs in there to get a sweet treat, maybe replenish the energy, because like you said, it's been a tough November. A no-win November is never a good thing. That's not something that we want to repeat, like you said. And, there's reasons for that. We've broken them down on this show extensively, but I think I'm excited. We're heading into the Christmas season. Let's round the corner, move forward to a fresh month. But yeah, another tough loss on Sunday to Peterborough. A difficult matchup, another team that's been kind of soaring. And you take a look at where we are now, it's a totally different look. At the beginning of November, you're up at the top, competing for the Central Division title, and now you've fallen right down the Eastern Conference board, down to 8th with Sudbury and Oshawa, and all of a sudden you're 4th in the Central Division. It's a totally different look. All of a sudden, 4 weeks later, with 9 consecutive losses, well, where do we go from here? And I think for this show, for today, I know for myself, I'm going to point out a couple of things, just some statistical tidbits, little bit of analysis, who's doing well, what is doing well, what is not, hint, hint. PK and power play would be splitting those 2 categories. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of those scouts or sort of some of the scouting I've done, like I said. But I think it's a situation where, this month could have gone a totally different way as well. And I think we're all kind of in agreement with that. There's some good hockey played this month, for the Niagara IceDogs. And, sometimes the cookie crumbles a different way. Sometimes you don't get the bounces. And I think, it's just it's one of those situations you want to leave it in the past. And that's what we're going to do here. But we're going to break it down. We're going to do our job. We're going to break it wide open. We're going to see exactly what was happening here. But just again, kind of a bittersweet, let's hopefully move forward into December here with, some progression, maybe some positivity, and hopefully some wins somewhere around the corner. But yeah, just a tough month, all around, Brandon.
Yeah, it was. And we are going to break all that down for you coming forward. And we do have a fan poll as well about if the team is to make a move, what would you like to see them do? We don't have our usual GM segment with General Manager Frankie Vola that we usually have on the show. He's away on a scouting trip at the Whippy Silver Stick tournament, the big junior tournament that happens every single year for the draft eligible players. So I'm pretty sure every single general manager from the OHL was there over this weekend. So we were unable to get him for this monthly show, but hopefully we'll have him back on for our usual monthly chats going forward here, as well as Captain Kevin He, our captain segment. Again, we didn't really want to ask him too much because it's like, what else can he say? Like that the team has gone through a really tough month here, and he left the game yesterday, did come back, but didn't want to bother him after going through that, having to leave the game, and just out of respect to him, just kind of let him be. But we always we'll get Kevin He back on the show, I'm sure, and we talked to him last week for a nice piece on armchairgmsports.com as well, so you can go check that out as well. But speaking about Kevin He, Christian, because it was a pretty big moment for the young man this weekend. And again, he's gone through a lot with this organization over 4 years here in Niagara. Been through some great things as well. Tied Akil Thomas's rookie goal record as a 16-year-old with 21. He got drafted by the Winnipeg Jets, signed, became the first Chinese-born player to sign an NHL entry-level contract. Has played with the Winnipeg Jets up in the preseason as well, and now continues in his 4th year with the Ice Dogs, and now has tied and passed Ryan Strome for 3rd all-time for Niagara IceDogs goals, with now 101, but 100 to tie Ryan Strome. So really exciting weekend for the captain, Kevin He, and again, a guy that's now, we can't believe it. He came as a 16-year-old. Now he's in his 4th year, possibly the last OHL season, could possibly play in the American Hockey League next year, at least for Winnipeg's organization. But great to see Kevin He there. And he's only a few away from Freddie Hamilton. So don't know if he's going to get to 159 with Andrew Agozzino, but this is still an incredible accolade for a long time, Ice Dog great and Kevin He.
Yeah, and he just keeps scoring. He's been really great all season. Currently on that 3-game point streak, 26 points in 20 games this year has been one of their more consistent scorers this season. And for himself, of course, that accolade's just huge. And what do you mean, man? He's going to score 70 goals this year. Come on. He's going to pass Agozzino, no problem. But yeah, 3rd in franchise history. What else can you say? Massive congratulations due for him. And I think he's been one of their best players this season, if not their best. I think he plays with that speed, plays with that edge that, maybe is missing from the rest of this top 6. You have a lot of talented players in the top 6, but maybe not as dynamic through the neutral zone. They don't bring the same kind of speed and the same kind of attention to detail away from the puck. And we've talked a little bit about that, when we mentioned Kevin, he knows how to navigate the play away from the puck to put himself in good spots. And that's where the speed really shines. And it's showing up on the score sheet this year. He's on pace to have, which should be one of his best seasons, right there with last year at 75 points with 62 games played. He's probably going to be in that conversation. And you know what? I have to say, it's impressive what he's done so far this year with a power play that's struggling in the way that it has been. He scored a ton of power play goals last year. It's 7 of his 36 came on the power play. He's got 13 already in just 20 games with a struggling power play. Just one of them coming on the power play there. So he's scoring in 5-on-5. He's also dishing quite a bit. He's got 13 assists as well in 20 games, a 13-13 split for 26 and 20. So just a great season so far for the captain. And of course, hoping for the best following that injury on Sunday. I'm sure he's okay, but always, hate to see something like that, but just a great start to the season. He's producing at a rate that's, his best so far in the OHL at 1.3 points per game. Last year, it was just a little under that at 1.21, but yeah, I mean, what else can you say about the captain? He's been great to start this season. And, there's a lot of players that have been great to start this season. And that for me is the biggest mystery about this losing streak is that you got guys that are performing at, career highs. You got goaltenders who are playing well. You got, individuals that are finding success, and the team as a whole is struggling. And it's tough. It's tough. It's, we kind of have to play doctor here and press where it hurts, to find out exactly what's going on here, and hopefully we can, perform kind of that, head to toe physical here on this show for you guys. But it's difficult, right? It's really difficult when you look at a guy like Kevin He. He's now 3rd in franchise record from a scoring perspective. And he's, putting up 1.3 points per game, and the team is on a 9-game losing streak. And, it's just from a team perspective, it's unfortunate, but yeah, like for Kevin, great start to the season so far.
Yeah, we don't have our usual weekly highlight breakdown because we're talking about the month as a whole, but I do have a couple of quick goal highlights to go over. Excuse me for the audio at the beginning if it plays.
Back and gets a quality shot on Ryan.
There we go. This is going to be Kevin He's, this is Kevin He's going into sole possession of 3rd place, passing Ryan Strome yesterday with that home goal that he scored. Again, that was to get the Ice Dogs back within 1 there really late in the second period. That was a big goal at the time, but obviously that game didn't end up going well for the Ice Dogs. But it was nice to see for Kevin He, a nice tip in the slot there after the point shot. Sometimes you don't have to necessarily have the best shot on net, just put your stick in the right direction and it'll go in. And the other highlight that I want to go over is obviously it was a big goal in Niagara yesterday.
Belleville, Ontario, where we grew up, and just trying to enjoy my time.
There we go. I think that was Andrew Shaw was on the broadcast yesterday.
Yes, it was.
For the ORTV, great Ice Dogs alum there. But this was the Riley Patterson goal that sent the Bears flying, Christian. We had to wait till the second period. We waited down there for the entire first period, and 4 minutes into the second, which is now the 3rd straight year that the Ice Dogs haven't scored the Teddy Bear toss goal until the middle period, and I know your shoes were soaked, so you have to make sure that you have better shoes on next time. But we did interview Riley Patterson, and that full interview is available on our Armchair GM Sports Network Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages if you guys want to go check out that with Riley Patterson. But Christian, we see some big bears also.
Look at the size of that
Look
one.
at the size of this guy. You did a great pregame report as well with a big bear that had the Ice Dogs jersey that was signed by all the players. So that'll be nice for somebody to get as well. But obviously, in what was a negative in the end with a loss, it's always great to be a part of something like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's so special, right, to be a part of such an awesome event like that. And, for Patterson, he had a fantastic game, had two goals, had an assist as well, 3 points, but just so special to be there. Like you said, had my shoes soaked a little bit. I mean, I'm going to have to look into the waterproof soles or something for next year. That was brutal, but yeah, great goal. He's another guy. We were talking about Kevin He, and we can extend the conversation to Riley Patterson. He's been just as good. He's got 26 points in 22 games, also on a 3-game point streak. Like, these guys are producing. They're finding ways to score. It's just some of the other stuff around them that's been struggling this year. And I love that goal from him, and that's a Patterson goal. He loves to get out in transition. I would say, you look at some of the goals he scored this year. He scored shorthanded a couple of times. He scored, in on breakaways. He loves to get up in the rush, and that's a signature, nice forehand, backhand, puts it up and over the blocker and brings the teddy bears down to the ice. Some of these are just incredible. I don't know. Like, I was out there on the ice. We walked out for the interview with Riley, and some of these stuffed animals were just top tier S-class stuffies, and the boys, of course, will pick and choose there. Like, look at the one that Gally has there.
Look at there's us, and I almost fell.
There we are. Yeah, so if you're watching the YouTube version, there's Brandon and I out there on the ice. Couple of morons. We didn't fall though. We were pretty concerned.
Whoa.
Yeah, almost. It was close. We were pretty concerned. We were going to end up hitting the deck there, but I will say, just to be a part of an event like that, honored to be there, honored to be, a member in support of, such a fantastic cause. But again, like for Patterson, awesome goal. And he's been just incredible, closing in on the 150th career point mark this season. He's just 3 points away now. With that 3-point game on Sunday, brings him up to 147 career points. So he's another guy that's been fantastic.
I do want to quickly mention, because it wrapped up last week, the CHL USA Prospect Challenge, and one of our own were away at that, Ryan Robrick. Obviously, being able to play on a national stage there's him in his Team CHL jersey. He was mic'd up for warm-ups in the second game as well. So a good showcase for him. I know, again, the second game didn't necessarily go as he would have wanted with some of the, the way that the Team CHL was rolling some of the lines there in that second game. And I know it ended up going to the overtime or the super overtime or whatever it was. But I think, again, as much as he would have wanted more from an event like this over the 2 days, people got to see him on a big stage. But I do think that he came back with motivation, and we saw that the game in Kitchener, because he had that 3-point effort. He had that great play off the pad right to Kevin He, the shot pass, and then he had a wonderful goal himself, cutting down the left wing and going far side. It seems like maybe sort of a negative like that of him not being able to really showcase his full ability comes back to Niagara with a big spark, and we could already see it through 2 games. He looks, maybe this would be turn somewhat of a negative into a positive for the rest of his draft year. That again has been a quiet point per game for Ryan Rober, because we know that he can reach here. And I just hope that he takes this as a positive and can really do a lot of good things here in the second half of this team.
So here's the segment of the show where I'm going to do another one of my references. All right. Last week it was Thunderstruck. This week we're going to do Secretariat, one of the greatest movies of all time. Brandon, have you seen Secretariat? Oh yeah. Okay. So you'll understand this one then. Secretariat was one of those horses, he could run with you kind of, and compete. Some days he didn't want to do it. He'd be kind of slow out of the gate, but other times he'd blow you right out of the water and you get past turn 2 and that historic race where he won the Triple Crown, he destroyed the rest of the field. Ryan Robrick is Secretariat. He's the guy that when he wants to can leave the rest of the field in turn 2. And I think what we just witnessed at the CHL Top Prospects Challenge was the taunting from the opposing horses that this guy needed. And he played an incredible game in Kitchener. He played really well, I thought, against Peterborough on Sunday as well. He was active. You saw the speed coming back. You saw him making plays. He made some rushes, up the wall, cutting towards the net, where he scored a ton of goals doing that last year. We see him kind of coming down the wing and using that big frame, to kind of push himself into the slot and find a way to, with those fantastic hands and, vision for the back of the net, find some space, in tight. I saw flashes of that this past week. And I think for Robrick, he's going to start extending the gap, Secretariat by 35. I think that's what we're going to be saying. We're going to be saying Robrick by 35 lengths at the end of the season, because I can see him starting to open up the gap. He looked by far their best player. He looked like their best player by far, I think, in Kitchener. And again, in Peterborough, I thought he had a great game. So whatever happened at the Top Prospects Challenge, again, it's great that he got to be there. But I do think he came back with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I'm excited to see what he does with it. He looks like a man on a mission. And we know Robrick on a mission is a scary man for the rest of the Ontario Hockey League.
Show those scouts definitely that he deserves to be a first-round pick, or an upper echelon of a first-round pick that he was projected coming into the year. So again, hoping the best for Ryan Robrick here going into the second half. And that's a great reference with Secretariat. It definitely has some attributes that could describe what we've seen from Ryan Robrick this year. And again, let's hope that he continues this positive momentum here in his first week back from the CHL USA Prospects Challenge. But Christian, we'll go forward here with again just going over November. I mean, like we've talked about the penalty kill a lot, or the power play a lot, excuse me, specialty teams in general. The team's susceptible to giving up shorthanded goals. They gave up another one yesterday against Peterborough. They're trying the 5 forwards again on the power play. They scored a couple of goals against Kitchener, but it's still, last in the Ontario Hockey League. And it'll be tying a little bit to our poll later on as well. But when we get into sort of what do you think that the team might look at in the trade market and things like that. But just as a general synopsis here, because we've talked about it every single week on this show, 21 goals for, 46 against this month, simply not good enough. 0-7-2 record, only two points out of a possible 18 this month. So what are you seeing here? And again, objectively, how do we look at going forward here?
I'm looking at, for me, neutral zone lanes. And I think it's something that, I have had a chance to speak with, Riley Patterson post the Peterborough game. I asked him a question about it. Like, what's happening in the neutral zone? The power play is simply not getting possession in the offensive zone with consistency. It's just not happening. That is effectively the shortfall, or the uplifting characteristic of most power plays in hockey is if you find puck possession in the offensive zone, you give your top players good looks at the net, you start registering shots, you find backdoor feeds, you kind of open up the ice, you get those penalty killers scrambled. That's how you score goals in the power play. Right? And we're not even getting to that point. It's through the neutral zone. We can't even get into the zone. So for me, it's the breakout. I think they need to find a way to come through the neutral zone with speed, maintain the speed, and then once they get into the zone, dial it back. It's like they're a north-south right now. And once they get over the blue line, they have to be able to make that transition to east-west and even through the neutral zone. It's fine to be north-south when you're coming out of your zone, but once you cross your blue line and now you're playing neutral zone and then offensive zone hockey on the power play. You have to find some east-west movement. You have to be able to move that puck across ice. You have to get across the blue line without going in a straight line. There's not a single team in the Ontario Hockey League that's going to let you skate up the ice in a straight line and get across their blue line. It's just not going to happen. So for me, that's what I'm seeing. And it's what I saw in Peterborough, or sorry, not in Peterborough. I keep doing this. It's not in Peterborough. In Niagara against Peterborough on Sunday, I saw a power play that has a ton of talent that's just not getting across the blue line. That's what it is. If Ryan Robrick gets a look from the top of the circle, he's going to score 1 out of 3 times. Kevin He on the back door with a one-timer, I would say it's probably a similar metric for how many times he's going to score. They have so many weapons on this team. It's a barracks filled with artillery, but they're not pulling the trigger. They can't get across the blue line. It's like, that's the way I look at it. It's, if you get across the blue line, you give your sharpshooters an opportunity to score, but they're not getting the looks because they're not getting across the blue line. And that's what I'm seeing on the power play.
I also want to take this to something that I listened to. I was listening to the Dallas Stars Ottawa Senators game because I had Dallas's goalie in fantasy, so I was invested. But they have the best power play in the NHL right now. And after the game, they had asked Mikko Rantanen, obviously, an elite player in his own right, what makes a good power play? And he said basically, he's a new player within that Dallas Stars organization, but they had the Wyatt Johnstons of the world. They had the Jason Robertsons, the Rupe Hintzes, and they all have a role on that power play. And he said, I just want to come in and find my role on the power play. He talked about it's about having elite players on the power play, but also the chemistry and finding that chemistry of where everybody needs to be, where their assignments are in the power play. And I think you can sort of translate that to what the Ice Dogs are doing. They have so much talent out there on the power play, but they don't have maybe necessarily designed roles where every single guy all 5 guys know this is their spot in the left circle. This is their spot in the right circle. This is their spot in front of the net. This is their spot as the quarterback on the power play, which for the Dallas Stars is Miro Heiskanen. So I think that sort of goes into translating that from the National Hockey League to the OHL as well. You can have those same similarities as to what I was listening to last night. And it just so happened that they asked him about the power play because Wyatt Johnston scored 2 on the power play last night, and they have like an incredible looking power play. Former OHL alum for the Windsor Spitfires, by the way, Wyatt Johnston, player of the year as well for the Windsor Spitfires back in 2021-22, I believe. But I just wanted to throw that in because I think that's important about trying to figure out what exactly this power play needs to do and what everybody knowing their exact assignments of where they need to be the most successful on it.
I think that's a fantastic way to look at it. It's just like anything else. You need to have balance, right? If I'm going to go bake a cake and I don't have the same consistency that's in the recipe, it's not going to come out looking right? You need to have all the different ingredients. And, when you look at what a power play is supposed to do, there's different ingredients, like you said, that are required. You need some passing. You need some shooting. You need some grinding ability. Somebody's going to win the puck back in the corner. You need some speed on the back end. Where are we going to find that on this roster? I think there's a lot of, we got 5 guys you can put the puck in the net. Go, put them out there. Let's, all of you, score, shoot from center ice. I don't care. For me, I feel like we're missing, to your point, a little bit of that recipe, right? The equation. We talked about the equation last week. I feel like I'm a math teacher. What's the equation that's going to work, right? What variables are we looking for? And I think maybe what's missing on that top power play is a little bit of the other stuff, right? Maybe use a Noah Reed on that top unit. Somebody who's going to, bring a little bit of, puck possession, a little bit of grit, somebody who can work in tight. Maybe somebody plays out front. We talked about it against, in the Peterborough game. Throw Liam Spencer in front of the net. Get a big body in front of the opposing goaltender. What helps a guy like Ryan Robrick score goals? Screens out front, good passing coming from the other side. Maybe instead of Kevin He on the opposing wing, another shooter, maybe put, a Ryerson Edgar over there or put a Riley Patterson over there, somebody that has a little bit more passing pedigree. So I feel like it's, maybe starting to get outside of your comfort zone from the coach's perspective and say, you know what, like, yeah, these guys can all score. And yeah, I want Ryan Robrick over here and Kevin He over here. So we have a, dual sniping line. It's basically like a firing squad. But in some situations, well, in all situations, it's easy to read. All you got to do is go, okay, well, I'm going to block that guy's shot. And then you go block that guy's shot. What now? What is it that the power play says that they're doing, accomplishing, right? What are the alternatives? If Robrick isn't scoring from the top of the circle and Kevin He isn't taking a one-timer, then what else is happening? Is Noah Reed going to walk out of the corner and roof one in the crease? Are they going to fire a shot from the blue line and have Liam Spencer out front causing chaos in the blue ice?
Or even anything Zada in the blue paint?
Yes. Yep. There you go. Like that's to your point. I think we're in agreement that they need more options on the power play. They got to find a different look. And change the angle. Look at it from a different angle. And I think, that's something that, they could benefit from on the penalty kill, 5-on-5. I think they just need to mix it up. And I think for the power play, like that for me is a big one. Just try to put different guys in different spots, confuse people, like confuse the other team. Put Ivan Galyanov at the point. Great hands, can see the ice. Granted, the defensive side, like if we're not going to give up, breakaways on the power play, but he's a guy that is shifty. He moves well. He can create passing lanes.
A point guard.
What I mean? No? Exactly. So I think for me, just try stuff. Let's start trying stuff. Throw what at the wall and see what sticks. And I think, now is a great time to be doing that. It's a 9-game losing streak. Like it's perfect. In some ways, it's like a blank canvas. It's a fresh start. Nobody's going to be mad if you put, somebody on the fourth line and then put a guy on the fourth line on the first line. Like now's the time to be trying things. Let's just start trying stuff, Yeah.
They're trying the defensive box. They might as well try some stuff on the power play too. This is when you try it out, right? Like this is when you got to get stuff figured out, and we'll see what the team looks like going forward. But again, just they continue to try to search for answers on that sense. But again, trying to come up with some constructive ideas on our end, because that's what we do on the show. We talk about what we're seeing. And, from an overhead view, it just seems like, again, just the options and trying to figure out designed roles for everybody within that 5-man unit is sort of like trying to put together, 5 guys on the basketball court, who's going to be the power forward, who's going to be the center, who's going to be, the shooting guard, who's going to be the point guard. So it's, trying to find that mix, because they have the players. They just need to, like you said, find the right mix within that, baking that cake. So
yep.
We'll see what happens with that. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back. We're going to analyze a little bit more. We're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Krys Barch, and we'll get into our scouting segment as well, scouting with Simmons and Christian's update there. So stay right here. But right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family of 3 great Niagara region locations. Right back after this.
Did you know that the Global Pet Food stores in the Niagara region are all independently owned by members of the local community? We believe that pets are truly part of the family and are a source of joy in everyday homes around the world. Yet that living, loving experience usually doesn't happen all on its own, but takes extra effort to create and maintain. And we want you to know that the owners and staff at Global Pet Foods are always there to help you keep it going, any way we can, because we believe. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs. We hope to see you at one of the following locations across Niagara: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, as well as 400 Scott Street in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Are you an employer looking to hire? Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Their services include free job postings in-house and on our website. Fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently. access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, and financial incentives may be available to offset the cost of new hire training. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with our customers, simplifying the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Hey, this is Ryan Strom.
This is Carter Verhage.
This is Brendan Perlini.
This is Phil Tomasino.
You're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast,
the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
And welcome back to part 2 of today's Dog Pound Podcast monthly recap episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. The Dog Pound Podcast is the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family, or 3 great Niagara region locations. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in on our YouTube version in video. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell, and as well comment. Give us your thoughts on what you thought on the episode and the IceDogs play as of late. We'd love to hear from our fans out there as well. And thank you to our loyal on-demand audio podcast platform listeners as well on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening to it. Maybe even Apple Music, as Christian said in the beginning of the episode as well. But
yeah, join the cult, baby.
So we're going to hear from IceDogs head coach Krys Barch on Inside the Coach's Room, an extended version here just in a little bit here. Again, no Frankie Vola and Captain Kevin He segment on this month's installment anyways, but we also have Krys Barch to give his thoughts from the team perspective, which is always nice for him to provide you guys with some insightful answers, and it's an extended version today. So it's a good thing we only really have one interview to go over on today's show, but and we're also going to hear from Christian with the Scouting with Simmons as well. So stay tuned for that before we wrap up today's show. But we're going to start segment 2 off today with our fan poll. And again, make sure to give us a follow on X at Dog Pound Podcast to get it on our fan polls, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. But for this fan poll specifically, for you guys listening in audio, I'll go over it. If you're watching in video, you can see it on the screen. It wasn't the November that the IceDogs wanted, but going forward, what would be the biggest need for the team via trade to get things going in the right direction? The answers I provided were top 6 forward, middle 6 forward, top 4 defensemen, and puck moving / power play defensemen. And puck moving / power play defenseman won at 34%, but it was very close as top 6 forward and top 4 defensemen at 33%, 0% for middle 6 forward. Christian, A, what are your thoughts on the results? And B, what are your thoughts on it personally?
Yeah, so I think I can agree with the puck moving power play defenseman. We were just talking about it in segment 1. What do they need? They need the puck across the blue line with consistency. Puck moving power play defenseman gets you that. So I can 100% agree with this fan poll at that 34%. I'll give you the trophy. I'm not gonna argue with that too much. Top 4 defensemen, similar situation. We've talked about it a bit on this show. The defensive core has struggled a little bit from a defensive standpoint, and we'll listen to Krys Barch a little bit later in this segment talk a little bit about what it looks like back there. That there's a little bit of inexperience. A lot of guys in their first years. He talks a little bit about Reisnecker being a first-year player, and Liam Spencer being more or less a first-year player, and then the players that have had experience in the Ontario Hockey League are playing with each other for the first time. So I don't know that I agree like we need a top 4 defenseman. I think we need more time for the top 4 defensemen that we already have to start developing chemistry. I think that's what it is. I don't know that we need an extra guy.
And it's hard when you part with an Andrew Wysick who was there for a long time. And again, I understand that the crowd there that would still like to see him a part of this team, given his offensive capabilities. But again, he's down with the Trenton Golden Hawks and the OJHL now, so there's nothing you can do about it. This is your team right now that you're playing with. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of throw that in there because I know have been parts of the fan base that have asked, why that wasn't an option.
And I think it very much still is an option. I think if things change here, well, if they don't change, then things will. I think there's lots of changes still to be made, and we'll kind of see. It's kind of the reason why we put this poll out is that things aren't going well. The team hasn't been winning games, so anything's an option, right? Like Wysick coming back isn't totally out of the picture, right? So I do think they could use somebody like that. But to your point, Brandon. Yeah, the chemistry with him gone is definitely kind of up in the air. The top 6 forward at 33%, I don't know how anybody in our fan base is looking at our top 6 and saying, you know what we need? We need another scorer. I hate to break it to you guys, but we got lots of those. Got lots of guys that can put the puck in the net. We got a lot of them. And the even crazier part about this fan poll is that what we really need comes in at the lowest voted option, the middle 6 forward. And we're going to throw some stats at you here. This is why we wanted to open up with this fan poll. The bottom 6 hasn't been scoring to start this season. The top 5 scorers on the Niagara IceDogs are in the top 6. They are registering just under 130 points through the 24 games we've played so far this season. That's 129. The next 5 guys under them as forwards have 29 points together. There's not a single guy in the bottom 6 that has over 10 points so far this season. So I disagree with all of you. We need bottom 6 scoring. We need offense to take the pressure off those top 5 guys. It feels like if Robrick and Patterson and he and Sada don't score, no one else is going to, right? And I'm glad we pulled it up here. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, and you can see it here, the top 5 guys are bridged with the bottom 5 by 2 defensemen. Liam Spencer and Ben Reisnecker have more scoring than the bottom 6 forwards. And that I think needs to change. I think you win hockey games as a team. It doesn't matter how awesome Kevin He is playing. He could have 175 points in 66 games this year. If the IceDogs cannot defend and cannot score when he's not on the ice, it doesn't change anything. They'll lose every game this season. I think we saw a little bit of this with the Brady Wasselin trade. We needed some more players in the bottom 6, and I think another move is coming. I think another move is required. And if I'm Frankie Vola, right now I'm an armchair GM. I'm not an actual GM, but if I was, I would be looking at filling that void. I would be saying to myself, who do I need in the bottom six that's going to start scoring, right? And we got it up on the screen here. The lineup against Peterborough, that first line's not the actual first line.
That's like the third line.
That's the third line. So Noah Reid, Ivan Galyanov, and Wraith Smith with Judd Noft, Cole Cooksey, and Hayden Reed. That's your bottom six. I have besides Noah Reid, who has scored with consistency over the past couple of weeks, and so has Wraith Smith. He had a goal, last weekend as well. Galyanov, Judd Noft, Cole Cooksey, and Hayden Reed. There has been almost no offense from those guys. And that's something that needs to change.
And Monks as well, who's in and out.
Monks, who's in and out as well. They need more offense from this group. Hage as well, who's finds himself in the top six more often than not. But I do think that's a different conversation of a guy that's supposed to be in the top six, somebody who should be producing. We just haven't really found his line combination yet.
And Sean Doherty as well is another lineup as well.
Right. And it's just, again, I hate to go back to this. It's the equation. It's, what are we going to do here that's going to work? Robrick, Zada, and Edgar has been kind of a staple line over the past couple of weeks. Mix it up. Maybe put Cole Cooksey on that line with Robrick and Zada, or put Cooksey in between Kevin He and Alexander Hage. Mix it up. Take a little bit of speed of Cooksey and put it with, Hage and Patterson, some shooting and some playmaking. I think that's what we're looking at here, is that the top six is like an immovable object. It's a solution. And we haven't dissolved it yet. It's been the same six guys all season long and all of November. We haven't ever really seen, aside from injuries and absences, the World Challenge with Ryerson Edgar leaving, the top prospects, Ryan Robrick, and then some of the injuries that we've seen keep some of the top guys out. We haven't seen that top six get moved at all. And I think for me, that's what I really want to see. I want to see Judd Noft on the first line for a game. Yeah, mix it up. Put him up there with Patterson and He. Put him up there with Sada and Edgar. Put Robrick on a line with two other guys and let him drive the play, right? I think, that's going to change things here, because it's going to open up the scoring. It's going to spread it across four lines. You put your best five guys on the ice up against the other team's best five guys. Most of the time, those guys cancel each other out, right? And I know we're getting way off the rails here. The original question was, do I agree with the fan poll? I don't agree with the fan poll, because we need more bottom six scoring. But I think what we actually need is a change of scenery. These guys need to move around. I need to see different line combinations, and I think they need to see it too. Yes, and that's how I would answer the fan poll. I agree. A defenseman would be fantastic, but what would be even better is if this Ice Dogs team could start scoring again, which, by the way, they are one of the worst teams in the OHL at scoring right now. They're sixth in the league, sixth worst in the league at scoring so far with 77 goals for, which is hard to believe with the amount of talent that they have. So that, for me, it's mix it up, get these guys playing with different looks, spread the scoring from lines 1 to 4 as opposed to 1 to 2. You make yourself so easy to defend. You know what I mean? So that was my very long and misguided answer to the fan poll, but that's what I see being a primary issue here. One of them, at least.
Do you think it's the same thing with the defensive pairs as well? I know Tiller was out for that pending suspension, and Barnes has been in and out of the lineup as sort of the 7th D. And it's been Chanowski missed a couple of games as well, but he's back in. So, again, when it comes to the defensive side, do you have those same thoughts?
I think it's a little bit of both. Definitely the chemistry is something in the defensive zone that's
Chanowski
really
is the only returning defenseman from last year.
Right. And, he's asked to play, difficult minutes. He plays on the penalty kill. He plays, 18, something like that, 18 minutes a night. He's a grinder for them, but he doesn't have, a partner that he's found some kind of chemistry with, you know, and you know, you keep right, but again, like these are guys that haven't been playing each other for very long.
Guys haven't been playing with each other. That's the point, you know.
The other thing is these guys are exhausted. Like if you're not scoring goals, you're spending the majority of the game in your zone. If you can't break out, the defensemen are going to get eaten alive in the corners. And that's what's happening right now. We've talked about it over the last couple of weeks on this show. Like the defensive zone hasn't been strong. You know, in and around the net, the missed assignments, it's exhaustion. These guys are playing so many minutes in their own zone. There's no oxygen anymore. Like, you know what I mean? You need to be rested to make solid decisions. You need to have a balance. And I think the Ice Dogs right now are missing some of that balance, and they're spending too much time in the defensive zone. The defenders are not getting a break, and it's the same goes for the goalies. And you know, Yarmolenko and Charlie Robertson have been spectacular this season. This team has been outshot with consistency since the puck drop of this season. They've been outshot almost every single game. Excuse me. And these guys find a way to keep this team in the game. And I think they're exhausted. The defensive core is exhausted. The forward core is exhausted that they're not scoring. It's an exhausted group, right? That, you know, needs a coffee. You know, they need something new. We need a new cafe, a new barista, a new look. This team needs a new look heading into December, and hopefully we can provide them with that. Hopefully the lines start to get blended, you know, in a different way. I think, you know, maybe it's a shaken, not stirred month for this team. Let's mix it up a little bit. You know, let's try different combinations, you know, and you know, put different, you know, guys with guys that maybe they haven't played with, and, you know, to try it in practice. Like, you know, get guys comfortable with other guys. And, you know, I don't know. I think for me, it's, you know, we're kind of just grabbing, you know, we're grasping for straws at this point, because it's
been a long month.
Frustration and confusion that has completely confused the fan base. Nobody knows what's going on. This is a team that has some top end talent. You got, you know, 3 NHL drafted prospects. You got a top 10 projected prospect. You got one of the hottest rookies in the Ontario Hockey League. You got 2 incredible goaltenders, and you're on a 9-game losing streak. Mix it up. It's time to mix it up.
In honor of Christian, our code word for this month's ticket giveaway is going to be cafe. So make sure to send us a DM on either at Dog Pound Podcast, at Armchair GM Pod on X, or on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you listen to us. Make sure to send us a DM with the code word cafe if you want to get in on the ticket giveaway that we will be doing for this episode. So
cafe.
With that said, Christian, I think this is a good time to go to Ice Dogs head coach Krys Barch and get his thoughts. We'll come back, quickly discuss it, and then we'll hit your scouting update as well. So inside the coach's room, as always, is brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in the Niagara region since 1983. Check out their update job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Here's what the Ice Dogs head coach had to say about his team's performance over the month of November.
Special teams seem to be a problem again. 3 power play goals and they get a shorthanded goal.
Yeah. Yes, for them. Well, for me, it's, you know, just making the right play at the right time. We have our 4th line out, you know, besides the special teams. We're down, or we're 3-2, and then we turn the puck over when we have to manage that puck, get it deep, you know, live to fight another day, and we turn over, and now we're down 4-2. So for me, you know, I mean, we had control of the game. You know, you look at the shot count. You know, we were doubled them. You know, ozone possession time. The ice was tilted. It's understanding what your job is in that moment, and we turn the puck over, and it goes the other way. So for me, you know, I talk about special teams. You know, PK's been fantastic all year long. It comes down to making the right decision at the right time.
Yeah. Too bad the power play couldn't have translated over from the Kitchener game where you were 3 for 5.
Well, that's 60% is pretty much historic if that's going to come to fruition every night. So you're asking for something that is a unicorn. Unicorns don't exist.
There's a lot of them being thrown on the ice.
Well, yeah. If I can get one of those, that'd be fantastic. So I mean, with that being said, you got to look at the game in terms of a realistic outlook. Like I said, we control play, we control momentum. Power play did generate shots, and what you're looking, getting out of a power play is momentum, creating that wave, and that wave continued through to 5-on-5 play. You know what? I would say there's a couple players on our team that wanted better efforts, and we as a group, kind of or live or die or achieve success and or failure together. So that's where we're at.
How do you convince players, that they don't have to be the hero to break this streak? I mean, it seems to be a team thing to break it, but obviously the individuals probably have put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yeah, I don't think that's a mindset in our room. You know what? We've gotten great efforts from multiple lines, multiple individuals, so I'd have to push against you on that one. I don't really feel that there's players that put it just on their shoulders. It is a shared responsibility. So.
Well, Coach, I know that's not a month that you want to go through, not being able to pick up a 2-point month.
Is November over?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So is that one where you just kind of wipe the slate clean now, go into December, but also learn from what you have to improve on after not winning a game in November? Like, how do you balance the negative and the positive with that?
Again, we always look at process. I know you probably could answer the questions that you're going to ask me. But, hey, we break up the season into 7-game segments. So coming into this segment, we were down 0-2. It's a must game or a win game in your own arena to pull it to a 1-2. But now we're in a deficit of 0-3, and we've got 4 more games left in this segment. So for us, that's the focus. I know everybody wants to pull it out and create their story, but we internally, like I said, stay focused on what's at hand here, and we're down 3-0 in our segment, and we got to push back.
And I feel like the last 3 games you've played, you have had some positive things. You mentioned the power play in Kitchener was good. Yep. You guys controlled play in the Barrie game, just didn't come away with the 2 points. Yep. And then tonight, you had a 20-shot second period and really took it to that team, and then things happened in the third. So it's that complete 60-minute effort. But have you seen sort of things going in the right direction with the last 3 games of this slide?
Yeah, I look at this. We've got, and again, some real solid development pieces on the back end. We got Del Elch, first year in the league. Resnecker, first year in their league. Spencer, 60 games over 2 years with London Knights, so he's pretty much a first-year player in the league. You got Barnes, a first-year player in the league. So we've got 4 of our 60 men that are first-year OHL players. There's not very many teams in the OHL that have that. So we're going to go through some development, not I would say ups and downs, or it's not a consistent curve in a positive direction. So we've working through that, and then also too, on the front side, even look at goaltenders. Robbie's coming back from 2 hip surgery, and we got Yermo as a rookie in the OHL as a 17-year-old, and there's a lot of responsibility put on those individual shoulders. But as a group, and just the way I've gone through life and the way I've played and the experiences I've had, and I told the group, it's where you are in February and March. A lot of people will forget about what happens in November. So for us, that mindset, yes, we, and do look back at the Kingston game, the Barrie game here, some young elements and some young learning lessons, the Ottawa game, the game tonight, where the process is there. It's just, again, supporting and pushing to get that outcome at the end that we want, but the same token, developing and working with a very, very young group, a very important, part of your team. So, it goes hand in hand. So for us, hey, there's battles, but then there's the war. And for me, in my mindset, I've been in hundreds of battles, and I understand the war at the end. and I've been clipped a lot of times, and we'll keep getting clipped as a group. But as you know, as long as you keep coming back, you jump back on that horse, it doesn't end. Like, it just keeps pushing. So for me and our group, it's a mindset that we just walk ahead and walk through one trench, and then we get through that trench, and then get through the next. And like I said, we'll learn and grow and harden through these experiences, and it's where we are in February, March is what we're going to be, hanging our hat on, and what we want to be critiqued on when it comes to that point.
And then you talked at training camp about your core principles and things like that. And for you and the coaching staff, is it more so trying to get through to not only the leadership group but the entire team? Is it X's and O's? Is it more so like intrapersonal stuff? Like, is it stuff like motivation? Is it is it more so stuff that you can teach out on the ice, or is it stuff that needs to get done? More so just one-on-one or talking to them back here.
I like the effort. Like, I really don't. Not like the effort. The effort is there from the majority of players. Yes, there's some games I would like more effort from some, but as a collective group, I like the effort. So for me, walking away from it, you look at process. I like the majority of the process as well too. If we or a couple of things go differently tonight, we're sitting here and we're having a different conversation. So I wouldn't change what our preparation is. I wouldn't change the mindset that we're coming with. Eventually we'll turn, and that's just, getting these players to understand that, they, as much as this is difficult, they're going to learn a lot more by getting through this than winning a couple and lose a couple. This is something that they will go through if they want to continue in the world of hockey at some point through it, and they're going to learn tools that will allow them to get through it or help others get through it.
And then last question, Kevin He, now third all-time for IceDogs goals as the captain. Had a pretty good month for himself statistically, but wants more from the group itself. But what can you say about Kevin on and off the ice, and having an accolade like that here for a franchise that he's been through a lot of ups and downs with over 4 years of playing?
Yeah, when you achieve or put that feather in your cap, it's a great element for him, and I'm sure he's played with a lot of players that have supported him in that success, and again, the organization investing in him year over year over year. So it's nice to do that in one spot, and again, just he does work. He's a very elite athlete, and it's nice to see him achieve that marker.
All right, Christian, there was IceDogs head coach Krys Barch with his wrap-up thoughts, and again, still always in good spirits despite some negative stuff that has happened over the last month with the team's results, and trying to keep the guys positive and upbeat, and trying to still figure out process is what he's talking about here. And I just want to get your general takeaways about what he had to say and how they're going to move forward into December.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put the baseball bat down. We've been beating this dead horse the whole month, so there's not a whole lot of takeaways that are new from this Krys Barch segment, but I will say I love the way he looks at hockey again. We've also said this a couple times, with the 7-game stretches, he talks a lot about this way of approaching games in weeks. They look at it in these 7-game blocks. He's preparing this team for playoffs. He's getting them ready for what does that dynamic look like when you go down 3-0 or 0-3, or you win 2, you lose the next? So I like that. And again, he's talked about it before. The effort's been solid, and nobody's saying that that's not true. And we'll have to digress a little bit. With all of this negativity, the team is still working hard. These guys are putting in the effort. It's just a little bit of a confused time for the team that goes through a funk, but I like that, he has that positive attitude. I love that he is reassuring his guys and, continuing with the same message. He's an unwavering voice of confidence in that room, and it's eventually going to pay dividends. And I think that's exactly what this group needs. They need the Krys Barch, day in, day out, same message, same group of guys. We're going to get there. And I think there's nothing else that you can't ask for anything more, from a head coach who's just going to keep encouraging you. And he takes the positives, He's talked a lot about, the little things and kind of we've talked about it too, that it's the minute details. We're that close. We're that far away. It's within grasping distance. And for me, those are my takeaways. I think it's a lot of positivity. It's encouraging. This team is going to get there, and he's going to help them do it.
But he's very vocal on the bench. You could, like, the whole game, you can hear him, directing traffic about where he wants guys to go, the assignments. Like, people have to he's a first-year head coach at this level. So, like, he's still trying to learn about how exactly he wants to go about this age group and what he wants from them, the best course of action, how to get through to them. Again, a completely different way of coaching in 2025 than when he was coming up as a player that made it into the National Hockey League in the mid to late 2010s there. But it's it's so much different now, trying to figure out what that fine line of X's and O's are, and then also trying to inspire the guys off the ice and keep their spirits up when things aren't going well. You can't just disintegrate these kids, because it's never going to be a good thing in junior hockey.
Right.
They have no confidence, and then they have no confidence in going out on the ice, and it just translates to bad play. So I think him and his coaching staff, and again, they've changed some things within the coaching staff already this year. They're still trying to work through exactly what the best plan is. And as he mentioned, this 7-game segment was, quite frankly, a failure, but there were positives that they took away from it, but they couldn't put it all together in a 60-minute effort.
And they're building that belief is what they're doing. And he's going to continue to help them do that you got to believe in your systems. If you don't believe in the systems and in the process, as Chris Barch likes to describe it, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, this is a team that has, talent, but they're being coached a specific way. And over time, they're going to get used to that coaching style. Yeah, Chris Barch is new to it, but so are the players. So a lot of these guys have come from different organizations with different coaching staffs, different coaching styles, different play styles. It's going to take time for them to figure it out. You can't expect anybody to be good at anything on the first time. I've been doing this podcast for a month now, and I still suck at it. Like, it's going to take time for these guys to get good at the process and the system that he is building, that foundation and that framework. They're buying into it. That's what matters. And eventually it's going to pay dividends. It's 25 games in for this team as a whole. And we talked about it in the offseason leading up to this year. The turnover has been incredible. Like, top to bottom, the turnover has been incredible. It's a team from the general manager down to the equipment manager that is still building trust with one another. The coaching staff is entirely new. General manager is new. There's like 15 new players. The goaltenders are new. So it's going to take time. We've talked about it on this show. Like, there's not a ton of time. They got to figure it out soon, but it's coming. It's coming. They have the tools. They got a great coach, great general manager. They have the pieces. Let them put the puzzle together. Let them breathe. It's going to happen. It's going to come.
You can't make changes again after you've made changes so much over the last 5 years. And again, we're not going to talk about the past and that. It is what it is. But, as you mentioned, you got to let them breathe. You got to give them time here. I know, it's what have you done for me lately type of business, and especially with the way junior hockey goes, this team could look completely different next year with players moving on or what have you. But if you want to have stability within your organization, you look at some of the best around the OHL. They have the same coaches, the same management, year in and year out, and they continue
They've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for years. That's why people get raises, because they've been doing it for years. They get good at it. They understand what their job is. This team has a bunch of first-year employees. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a ton of guys that have no idea. Like, it's like everyone got laid off and we brought in 17 new guys to do jobs that didn't exist last year. That's what it is. And then the guys who had jobs here last year are now doing different jobs. Everybody's doing something new this year. So I think, that's something for us to remember. It's something that the fan base needs to remember. It's something that I'm going to, I'm taking a step back, now that the month is over and we're kind of out of the weeds and we can stop worrying about, well, what did they lose by this week? Like the big picture is that this team has the talent. They have the coaching. It's going to come. It's going to come. They just have to figure it out. They got to figure it out. It's a team that it probably, one of the only teams that was gutted the way that they were following last season. We can talk about the NCAA and how teams lost players. This team completely changed. General manager down to the guy that runs the concession stands. Like, it's a complete different look, and it's going to take time for them to build that familiarity.
Yep, and the roster turnover is something that I don't think people realize how large the roster turnover was from last season to this season. So again, they're continue to work through that process, and hopefully, better days are to come for the holiday spirit, with it being December coming up here in the month of December. But Christian, let's go to your first scouting segment with Simmons right here.
Yes,
the Dog Pound Podcast, and I'm pulling it up for you guys here on the video version. But if you guys are following along in the audio or on the audio version, Christian will kind of go through it for you.
Yeah, so this is something that I came up with about a week ago. I ran it by Brandon, thought it was kind of an interesting idea. So we're going to start by me getting physically prepared. I'm going to put on my scouting glasses, all right, for everybody at home and on the video platform. These are my scouting optics, all right? This is Christian the Scout. This is Christian the Podcaster. This guy with the shades on. This is Simmons the Scout. All right. So from now on, we'll probably do this maybe quarterly or, throughout the year. We'll kind of take a look. We'll check in on these guys. Now, this is not going any further back than the 2025 OHL drafts because we all know what happened last year. None of the 2024 prospects are with the organization anymore. So this is strictly a 2025 draft outlook. The guys that were picked under Ryerson Edgar. So we got 4 that we picked up on here. Caden Bell, Michael Tang, Connor Hafner, and Tyler Lee. So we'll go through them one by one. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what could be. We were talking about it on the show earlier, the roster turnover. And in that spirit, I figured let's see what the turnover could look like next year and what kind of holes these guys could fill. And we'll start with Caden Bell. We talked a little bit about the top 4 defensemen. What does this team need? They need maybe a power play quarterback. That's Caden Bell. All right, we'll take a look at this guy here. Drafted in the 3rd round, 49th overall. He was the 2nd pick in the 2025 OHL draft of the Niagara IceDogs. They actually didn't have a 2nd rounder. They had the 1st round and then the 3rd round pick. And they took Caden Bell. He's absolutely torching the Greater Ontario Hockey League right now, which is the Junior B ranks. Currently with the St. Catharines Falcons, he's got 27 points in 25 games, 9 goals so far on the season, and he's got a fantastic range on the blue line. I've seen him play countless times this season. He brings some confidence and some comfortability at the blue line. He's got a fantastic shot and great vision. Cross ice. He's got to get a little faster. I've talked about this on this show and, on other shows as well. He needs to get faster physically and mentally when it comes to making decisions. He's got to get crisper and faster, but he has the potential to potentially next year slide in. He could be a top 4 guy on this team. If he has another off season of development, I could see him being a huge part of this defensive core. So that's Caden Bell. Get to know the name. Sorry?
A right shot too.
And a right shot as well. Very appealing for a team that's basically got a bunch of lefties except for Reisnecker. So they could use, an extra righty. So get to know the name and the face. He will most likely be around next season.
He won Prospect of the Week as well a couple weeks ago. Just wanted to mention
Yes,
that.
he did. And he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. So we'll see how things develop there. And he's playing for a really great team in St. Catharines. They're up at the top of the Eastern Conference, and they continue to pace it. But, that's Caden Bell. The next pick was Michael Tang, drafted in the 4th round. He was the 78th overall selection for the Niagara IceDogs. He's currently playing in the USHL, with the Madison Capitals, has 10 points in 16 games. Played in that U17 World Hockey Challenge as well against Ryerson Edgar, had a bronze medal with Team USA. Just had the 1 point in 4 games, but this guy knows how to score. And he did a ton of that in U16. He played with the Toronto Titans in his draft year, had 128 points in 74 games. He scored 52 goals. This guy knows how to score. Harvard University agrees. He's committed to Harvard for the 2027 season. So there's a good chance we see him in a Niagara IceDogs uniform next year, but he'll be one of those guys that's not around for a ton of time. But I could see him helping that bottom six next season, being a third, maybe second line fringe guy, depending how things look next year. Of course, with all the variables, Robrick, we'll see what ends up happening with him. Kevin Heath and Zada Riley Patterson could very well be moving on. So I could see Michael Tang, sliding into that top six as a scorer, or in that bottom six as somebody who brings, a little bit of size, 6 feet tall, 165 pounds. He's got a little bit of size to him and some bite. Also a right shot as well. So we'll see what happens there. Yes.
Harvard.
And he's a very smart young man. He's a very, very smart young man. And that smarts applies to the hockey side of things as well. He plays the game with an incredible intelligence. So could be a huge part of this team next year. So those are the two top guys, Caden Bell and Michael Tang. Then we got a goaltender, Connor Hafner, 5th round selection, 95th overall. A sought-after young goalie. He was also taken in the Central Canada Hockey League draft, 22nd overall in 2025. Currently playing in the OJHL with the Burlington Cougars, and he's cleaning house. He's got an 8.42 record, a 2.87 goals against average, and a 9.21 save percentage. He is lighting it up down there. 6'3", 175 pounds, left catch 6'3". Like he's a big boy. He knows how to play. And with Charlie Robertson potentially, well, not potentially, out of the picture next season in his overage year, Connor Hafner could be a massive part of this team next season, either in a starting role or as the backup. But I see Connor Hafner a part of this team next season. And then finally, Tyler Lee, 6th rounder, played with Caden Bell and Don Mills. So this for me is interesting. Those two know each other very, very well. I see them playing together next season. Currently playing with the Pelham Panthers in the Greater Ontario Hockey League. Has a respectable rate of production, 17 points in 22 games. Nothing crazy, not freaking out about that. But, he's playing on a team with a lot of depth. He's playing a different role. He's not exactly their go-to scorer for the Pelham Panthers this season. There's some guys that are a little bit older than him that are looking to make a jump in their career. So he's not playing, top minutes, but he's still producing, and he's starting to learn the defensive side of the game. A little bit smaller, not exactly the size you're looking for in the OHL. It needs to put on some muscle at 5'8", 159 pounds, but he's an incredible skater. We saw him in training camp this year. He's one of my picks. I thought he looked pretty good. And I think if he continues to develop, maybe build some muscle, he could be joining his former teammate in Caden Bell next season with the Niagara IceDogs. So those are my 4 to keep an eye on. They're all doing very, very well. So Simmons, the scout, is very happy with the progression, and we'll make sure to keep you guys updated on those.
It helps that 2 of those guys you mentioned are in the GOHL, which you obviously do some play-by-play in that league. So you get an extra eye on those guys a little bit.
Yes, for sure. Connor Hafner and Michael Tang were a little tougher. I actually had to do some real reading. Those glasses came in handy. I had to actually go and do some research on these guys. But yeah, Tyler Lee and Caden Bell I see on a weekly basis. So I know what's going on with those guys. And I would say that, as teammates, guys that know each other very well and are both progressing well, we could see them here as well. Exciting. The future is bright. I'm in Niagara. So I wanted to just spotlight that. That's a new segment that we're adding, and there's going to be plenty more to come. But I thought that was something worth mentioning here at the third waypoint of the season.
Great monthly segment. The first one, Scouting with Simmons, as some updates for you Niagara IceDogs junkies out there that want to know how some of their top prospects are doing that we could see wearing IceDog jerseys in the near future, this maybe next year or the year after that. So Christian, as we wrap up, we're looking up at December now, and it doesn't get any easier for the IceDogs, as you can see up on the video version for you guys listening on YouTube. They got Brampton this week, a divisional game. Brampton plays very hard, even though they don't really have a lot of top stars. So the IceDogs will have to have back-to-back really solid Central Division matchups against Brampton and then North Bay. And then they've got the London Knights coming in, Barrie, North Bay again, Peterborough, Flint, who is on an 11-game winning streak, which is crazy to think about. Sarnia is in town, Brampton again. Then they've got a Brampton back-to-back, so they play Brampton 3 times this month within the division, and then they get Oshawa on the New Year's Eve game. But again, a lot of opportunity here if the Ice Dogs can put together a 60-minute effort to pick up some points this month and really start to claw back up the Eastern Conference standings against teams that they're chasing.
Yep, Barrie, North Bay. They play North Bay twice in the next couple of weeks. They play Barrie as well. Those are important games. You got to win those. You know, you're trying to chase down both of them, in your division. And Barrie needs to be stopped. So December 13th is a big one. Circle that one on the calendar for sure. But just, I'm wishing right now to Santa Claus, I'm writing my list. We want a Niagara IceDogs winning streak here in December. So hopefully we can accomplish that. For those of you who tune into this show, whether you celebrate Christmas or not, why don't you put down in the comment section what you want for Christmas from the Niagara IceDogs, whether it be a new addition. If you really want another top 6 forward, go ahead and put his name down in the comment section. If you got a trade in mind, throw it down there. We love answering those. It's always a great way to get involved with you guys. So do that. Let's hear from the fan base. What do you guys want for Christmas? And who do you think this month is going to be our top performer? We'll do our monthly recap next month, and we'll do another kind of, again, we're going to do these, kind of our monthly recaps. But who do you think is going to have the strongest month on the Niagara IceDogs roster? And we'll revisit that 30 days from today.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Maybe we'll even put it into a poll for you guys as well. But stay interactive with us, and we're going to continue to try to get you guys involved as much on the conversation as well. The great loyal fan base of the Dog Pound podcast and the Niagara IceDogs. So 11 games coming up for the IceDogs this month in December to close out 2025 and going into 2026. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back after wiping that November slate clean and going into some very important divisional matchups and Eastern Conference matchups this month. So that's going to be it for our monthly recap episode right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods. Our pets are undeniably part of the family in their 3 great Niagara region locations right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel and those listening on your favorite on-demand audio platform. Thank you very much for doing so. And again, make sure if you heard that code word earlier in the show, make sure to DM us to get in on those free IceDog tickets. So that's going to be it. For Christian Simmons, my name is Brandon Caputo, and that's another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. We'll talk to you guys again very soon.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.